Hi, John.
Hey.
Oh, hey, check this out. Oh, man. Oh, was this your grandpa's old yearbook? Look how out of date everyone looks. Was this really in style back then?
Do you think our kids are going to look at our yearbooks and say the same things?
Nah.
Not just your kids. I'm old enough to be your grandpa, and I think my mother had that blouse when I was a kid. I think Jane's 1970s hippie blouse and John's bowling league shirt had both already gone out of style when I was younger than they are.
So, how'd you say this trunk helped you?
Well, I'm starting to get the picture on human evolution. This book was published in 1925 by Sir Arthur Keith. And now he was the president of the Royal Anthropological Society of Great Britain.
And the skull?
It was found in 1912. Now, it called Piltdown Man the find of the 20th century.
The writing of this skit is pretty bad. John never told us that the skull was called Piltdown Man. You're just supposed to know that already from having heard this story so often, every time the topic of evolution comes up in church.
I think it was the New York Times said that it proves the theory of evolution.
Remember that the job of the news media is to sell stories, typically through exaggeration. And nowadays, instead of proving the theory, every new discovery is described in the news as overturning previous theories or causing scientists to rethink their theories, even when that discovery was predicted and expected, because sensationalism sells.
There were like 500 articles published when they first found this. Then in 1953, they discovered that the skull was a fake.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. They took chemicals and they aged the skull. They made it look like it was really, really old. And then the jaw is actually from an orangutan.
Now listen to John act as though he's fighting back laughter at what he says, as if he would have known better, as if he thinks all the facts line up with his conspiracy theory.
And the guy who discovered it, he actually filed the teeth down and made it look real.
What the heck were scientists thinking?
You have to understand that at the time when Piltdown Man was presented, Great Britain was at the height of the British Empire, with colonies all around the world, controlling nearly a quarter of the global population. That's when the UK was the most powerful nation on earth. British imperialism then was much like American exceptionalism is today, very ethnocentric, thinking that they were
the best of the best of the best, sir.
British imperialists were okay with Homo heidelbergensis and Neanderthalensis being discovered elsewhere in Europe, but Darwin predicted that the ancestor of all humanity should be found in Africa, and 20th century Europeans objected to the out-of-Africa theory like many Americans still object to it now, and for the same reason. Some people of my pallor don't want to accept their roots on the dark continent. But then multiple specimens of Homo erectus had been discovered in Indonesia and other tropical areas, and the English did not like where the evidence was pointing. They wanted to believe that man had originated not just in Europe, but specifically in England, that not only had the sun never set on the British Empire, but that the very dawn of man was also British.